Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. 12 races have been completed, and tonight is the start of a journey to see who will hoist the Season 7 championship. The rules slightly different from the past 6 seasons. We're no longer doing elimination playoff racing. Instead, it's the chase. 6 races. Who's got the most points after that gets to be crowned your ISRC Lariat Productions Season 7 champion. Tonight, we start things off with the wild card race. We got a couple of them throughout this playoff run, but it's going to be one of the biggest, baddest tracks that you're going to see on the iRacing service. It's the 2.66 miles of Talladega, and the drivers race for the Blackjack Dega 150 here this evening. Currently, the drivers are underway with qualifying as they got 2.5 minutes left, about halfway through. Some drivers already looking quick with Eric Stamp top of the board. We got ourselves 13 drivers that will be racing for a championship. Thank you for joining with us once again on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me in the booth, as always on Monday night, is Zach Hall. And Zach, what a race to start out the playoffs, but what drama we had last week and to see who was going to make it into the playoffs, and we got a lucky 13 with the additive of Cody Reed after the end of the day.
That we did, yeah. It's going to be fantastic to see how this all starts off, of course, with Talladega for this 6-race stretch. You know, we talk about Talladega when it's been in a playoff round, 2 races. It can be such a wild card race, right? Well, this wild card race you're going to have to take with you throughout the rest of the 6 races, because this is just a combination of all 6 races of points for that championship. So it's not like, where we see this race usually in the early rounds where you can drop it off at the beginning and hopefully, just luckily get onto that next round, not have to worry about it. Tonight's result will matter and count towards that championship. So getting a good finish, good stage points is going to be very critical. And I like seeing it start out here. It's going to definitely shake some things up, because those standings definitely, are very wild to look at to start out for sure.
The phrase playoff implications, I think we're going to be saying a lot here tonight, with drivers trying to avoid the big one, while others are going to have a different storyline for themselves. One of those being this 42 machine of Joshua Stovall. Did not make the playoffs for this 42 machine, but instead has a different race in mind for tonight. Tonight, again, is going to be the Blackjack Dega Dash. We had a similar dash race earlier in the season, and we will be seeing these drivers. That similar race was at Michigan, where drivers chipped in a little bit of money, and they've got some cash to race for, and Stovall will be a part of the 11 drivers that signed up for that great race that they're going to be having. Whoever finishes the highest of the 11 drivers are going to be getting some cash, and those 11 drivers to watch out for: Tyler Dangler, John Forbes, Cody Reed, Joshua Stovall, Ethan Smith, Dakota Moniz, Vincent Sora, Jared Talmadge, Presley Sora, Thomas Green, and Martin Morales. Those are going to be your 11 drivers running the Dega Dash here this evening. Well, we also got the 13 drivers that are hunting for the championship run. We'll do a rundown of who's in or out of the playoffs here shortly. Both qualifying coming to close. It's going to be one of your playoff contenders, Mark Whitley, taking the pole for the 77 machine as he gets top of the board over the rest. A former winner of this race back in Season 3. Hoping to find a little bit of extra luck here this evening, as we are now entering our 5-minute warm-up period, where the drivers get a little bit of time for extra practice, figure out where the pit stall is, and it gives us time to take a look at how this season has built up to where we're at. Well, first take a look at our point standings entering this evening, because we got 13 drivers hunting for the championship. And Zach, what's interesting here is that there is a huge gap from that top driver all the way down to 13th.
I mean, yeah, literally, if you look at John Forbes, he's got a 22-point gap back to Nick Crawford. And John Forbes also going for a 3-peat for championships. That would be quite a feat. I mean, he's got a bigger gap than Nick Crawford has to the likes of Christopher Norris and Cody Reed back in 13th. I mean, that difference right there between those two is only 12 points from 2nd to 13th. So it just shows you the sizable gap that our 2-time defending series champion has. But it can get slowly, chipped away at, but it's going to be tough for these drivers starting this far back, Sam.
And you might be wondering, why is the cutoff line at 12? Well, the top 12 drivers made it in based off of points. Cody Reed, after missing the last race of the season, was bounced out of the top 12, allowing Joshua Kanata to make the playoffs, but his win adds him in as that extra driver. So 13 drivers will hunt for the championship, being John Force, Nick Crawford, Thomas Green, Mark Whitley, Vincent Sora, Presley Sora, Larry Yingling, our winner from last week, got that first win of the season with Joshua Kanata just sneaking his way in. Our season 2 champion, a Trent Jump, 9th in points with Justin Campbell, Cedric Hunter, Christopher Norris, and again, the additive driver of Cody Reed after his Dover win earlier in the season. Those are your 13 drivers to watch out for here this evening, but we'll take a look at how we've got to this point based off the race-by-race scenarios. And Zach, I mean, it was a huge variety, you could say, at the beginning of the season, but of late, it's looked to be a lot more of John Forbes winning.
Yeah, I mean, he was on a tear there for those past 3 weeks, and I mean, even looked good at Atlanta, but of course, Larry Yingling pulls that one off. That was great for himself. We can see, of course, the start here at Talladega this evening. And then, of course, North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Chicagoland. So, I think like you said, Sam, earlier, Talladega's a wild card, but we got a few other wild cards thrown in there too.
We certainly do. The short tracks are going to be tough ones to watch out for. North Wilkesboro, Phoenix, and then obviously the road course specialists are going to be loving Sonoma. But I think the two constants we got to watch out for: Las Vegas, Chicagoland. We know who's fast the mile and a half since majority of the field. I think those are going to be the fun ones to watch out for overall. But that's the way that this season has looked to this point to start the playoffs off as 6 races before we crown a champion. I think it's going to be a fun playoffs to watch. If you're just joining us for the first time, again, you're watching the ISRC, Larry Productions Truck Series. Playoffs are about to begin. We got some drivers of note that we feel like are going to be main drivers to watch out for here tonight. Maybe because of playoffs, maybe because of just this track style. And for myself, I'm going just because we got ourselves the Dega Dash hosted by Blackjack. And that's going to be Tyler Dangler, my pick here this evening. Tyler Dangler kind of looks good at super speedways. Usually it's at Atlanta Super Speedway where we see the strength of the 19, but in the past, he's had multiple opportunities of getting into victory lane at super speedways. Tyler Dangler, a driver to watch out for late in this race if he's there.
I would love to see that pick come to, truth there, Sam. So hopefully Tyler Dangler can pull it off for you, but I had to go with the 38 truck because Talladega, a place where you got to have a lot of friends. I feel like the 38, he's got a lot of drivers and trucks that are going to be willing to help him when it comes down to the end. We'll see if Christopher Norris can get himself a win here to start off his playoff run.
And our third member of our group, Robert Moyer Jr., runs productions here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. He's going to be going with last time we raced here back in season 5. It's going to be Joshua Kanata, the pick for Robert Moyer Jr. in a spectacular finish where the whole entire field erupted, and it was the 16 that found himself ahead of everyone else. And I feel like you look at the past, that's how a lot of these races have turned into, Zach. Of Talladega, it's not about if you can make it to the final 2 laps, it's can you survive the last lap of this race.
Yeah, it's really the last, 200 to 100 feet is where we see a lot of wild stuff. I mean, of course, a lot happens on that last lap throughout 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the turns. But even just this tri-oval where we're looking at right now, where the starting finish line is moved down, Talladega always sets up wild finishes. And we know that last little bit of asphalt right there is going to be used very much for these drivers to try to make passes to get themselves forward.
It certainly will be used. And also, if you're used to traditional super speedway racing, there's usually talk about the yellow line rule. Well, that is an option for these drivers to go under if they feel like it. Now, on the driver that goes under the yellow line, it is their job to come up safely to the rest of the field. We'll see who wants to utilize that effort to go down below and maybe steal position here or there. But warm-up is just finished up, same for practice and qualifying. That means all that's left is racing here tonight for your featured event for the ISRC Larry Productions Truck Series. It's your Blackjack Dega Dash 150 here to start off the playoffs. And we're going to start things off with looking at our starting grid here this evening. A driver that's felt like this is his chance for a championship. He's finally got the playoff format that he loves the most. Mark Whitley, top of the board here for qualifying. He'll take that first pole sitter award at Talladega. To his outside, also going to be the rookie to show off in the playoffs. We've got Presley Sora in the 12 machine in second place, just stealing his way into the playoffs to hunt for this championship. Joshua Kanata third, starting off here tonight. The two-time champ trying to make it 3 in a row. John Forth will start fourth here in the playoffs with Vincent Sora fifth. Our season 1 champion Ethan Smith going to be in 6th position. Nick Crawford 7th. Joshua Stovall starting in 8th. Brayton Laster going to be in that 31 machine in 9th, and finishing out our top 10 is our season 2 champion of Trent Jump.
Always a great plate racer. Starting in 11th will be Dakota Maniz, and 12th in qualifying here is going to be alongside him. In 99 is Michael Miller. 13th is going to go to the 53 of Eric Stamp, with 14th position in qualifying going to Isaac Shelley. 15th is going to be a playoff driver, Cedric Hunter, with his teammate Larry Yingling, last week's winner. Started 16th alongside him, also another playoff driver. 17th is going to go to Samuel Garcia with my pick, and a playoff driver also starting 18th is Christopher Norris. 19th is going to go to Fonseca, and rounding out the top 20 is Cody Reed of the playoff drivers.
In 21st position, we find the 18 machine of Thomas Green. His teammate of Jared Talmadge going to be in 22nd position for the 61. Justin Campbell down in 23rd position for himself. The 2 of Danny Cochran missing out on the playoffs, but hoping for a good run here tonight. We'll start 24th for the 2. Joshua Freed, another strong Super Speedway driver, will be starting in 25th, with Mark Morales Jr. in 26th position, and Tyler Dengler finishing out our 27 drivers here tonight. Big field, big opportunities to be grabbed. A lot of points to be out there. But tonight's race going to be 85 laps. Our stage break at the end of lap 30, with no stage yellow expected to be thrown. But if there is a on-track incident that brings out a yellow from lap 25 to 30, that will count as the stage. No fast repairs for extra tires in pit road. But Zach, that stage, these first 30 laps, they can be so critical just to look at how the playoffs are looking.
That's for sure. Those stage points can be make or break sometimes. We know how close it can be of points when it comes down to the end of this thing. So this could be a critical factor here. And what makes this stage wild too, the placement of it. I mean, these drivers with the fuel load they have here, and the amount of fuel mileage they get, we're only looking at about 31.5 to about 32 laps on fuel. So you're only going to be able to get to that lap 30 stage, and then you're going to be thinking about a pit stop pretty quickly. And then that's where the strategy is going to get pretty wild, because 30 is really not the optimal point to stop in this race if it was to stay green, because remember, no cautions here when the stage comes out. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these drivers play the strategy. I believe Sam may be muted here. I don't know if you left this button on, but we're coming to the grid here as these drivers pace around turn 3 and 4, and Mark Whitley in control of the field, looking very, very strong for sure with that qualifying time alongside him, Presley Sora, as we're going to be starting out these playoffs here tonight at the ISRC Truck Series. And it's going to be a wild one here at the 2.66 mile Talladega Super Speedway, as we still trundle our way around as the field looks to come to the green flag.
We are getting ready to go green. It's going to be Mark Whitley and Presley Sora, your front row. We're excited for it, as tonight's race, the start of the Season 7 playoffs of the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series. Drama's ready to ramp up. We know some drivers that won a championship for themselves, others fighting for their first ever. History for some, and it all starts now as your Blackjack Dega Dash 150 is underway, and it's going to be an equal drive into turn number 1 between the 77 and the 12 as we drag race around turns 1 and 2. And Zach, this is going to be the critical moment. How aggressive does the field want to be here early?
It's going to be very, very critical for sure, Sam, to see how these drivers are going to separate themselves, and can you get out here early and kind of control this field. I had a few drivers that I talked to, and they said you can kind of control the draft, but the runs you get are very big. So you got to watch how you look to block, how you look to cover off lanes, because quickly, if you put yourself in a wreck here early, this race is going to hurt your chances in the playoffs.
Yeah, that not having a fast repair, that safety net pulled away really does change the mindset for 85 laps. How do you want to run, especially with also the stage? Big bonus points in hand to be grabbed was Presley Sora, Mark Whitley side by side, but that first lap's going to be led by the 12 machine. Sora taking the early advantage and having one of the best pushers you could ask for on the outside, running their special scheme, both the 11 and the 74, running Talladega night schemes for themselves. As John Forbes, we've seen in the past, especially when working with teammates, that outside lane is going to be quick with having the 11 there, but also on the inside, Joshua Kanata, curious on what type of a race we'll see from the 16, because Zach, his push didn't have a chance for the playoffs, was consistent running, staying out of trouble, but the last few weeks it's been aggression that's kind of bit the 16 in the foot.
That has bit him in the foot a few times, but like you said, consistency is the key for Kanata. He has been one of the best drivers at that, so no surprise to see him right up here in the mix, and he's pushing Mark Whitley very strong. As it looks like Whitley this time gonna lead this time around. Yes, 77 will hold on to that spot, but like you said, got some great pushers up here. It's gonna be interesting to see how these lines form, and will anybody take that chance to go and make a third line, or is everybody just gonna, for the time being, hold the first two levels?
And up front, not a lot of change movement. It's going to be happening for our top 10. Biggest mover is going to be the driver in 9th position, the 99. That's Michael Miller. But two drivers, biggest movers so far here this evening, Cody Reed and Danny Cochran, both up 7 positions. They're just outside of the top 10. For the 25, we know we've seen it in other leagues, also here in the ISRC Truck Series. Cody Reed is willing to make big moves if there's a chance for him to carry multiple drivers with him. And if he knows he has the momentum to make some big passes, I think he's going to be the driver to watch out for. Same for Danny Cochran, who are both very strong super speedway drivers.
Definitely a driver known not to really go out there and kind of ride the line. He's willing to take the chances and take the opportunities with the runs. So we'll see if, like you said, if Reed can continue his march forward. But it looks like that outside line kind of deteriorates a little bit, as it looks like John Forbes drops in below Vincent Sora, as he's going to leave Presley Sora out there to drop back to the likes of Ethan Smith.
Ethan Smith trying to give a good bump, if possible, to the 12 machine, but the less drivers that are in line, the slower you're going to be. As the inside row getting a huge shove by the 16, and Joshua Kanata kind of pushing out Mark Whitley a little bit further. We're starting to see that gap built up between the second and third car in line on the inside row. And I mean, Zach, it's always a question of how much do you truly want to push or give space, and it looks like that space that was given gives a chance for Presley Sora to fight right on back on the outside.
That it does. It just shows you how fast it can kind of yo-yo back and forth between the lines. You know, it's just at one point somebody's got to lift, you know, and that's where you're going to see these separations, and that's where the other line can take advantage of that. So it's definitely going to be back and forth, so to say, here early, but right now everybody doing a great job, and I think everybody's being kind of patient. I mean, we're seeing some good pushing up front here. You like to see Kanata, he's pretty close. Same with Ethan Smith on the back bumper of the 12, but nobody being overly egregious, you know, with their pushes here to take no chances to get involved in anything too early.
Yeah, the only times we're seeing 3 wide is when someone on the outside row decides I'm moving backwards, and seen Ollie Fonseca do that a couple of times, and a few other drivers further on back willing to give space if possible. As tonight's race going to be the 5th attempt for the ISRC Truck Series to run here at Talladega. All the other times back in season 1, 3, 2, and 5, we've seen this race kind of be around the playoff picture. And we've always had Talladega in the playoffs, and it's kind of been that shake-up race. At times, almost has taken away chances to run for a championship. But the one thing that of note, not a lot of cautions come out. Big wrecks happen, but anywhere ranging from 3 to 5 cautions has been the norm. And you take one of those cautions away because of the stage break, I think these drivers might be all settling in, knowing we could have a very long race here tonight with not a lot of cautions if we continue to be racing patient like we're seeing right now.
It'll be interesting to see when we get closer to that stage. I think that'll be kind of like the telltale sign, you know, to say, all right, will these drivers take big risks here? Because we get closer to that, it could be the risks that lead to a caution. And if we get past that point, I think, like you said, we could go for a long time. So it is really going to be up to these drivers how they want to risk it. But Presley Sora, the first chance he got clear of the bottom, he drops down low, and now Ethan Smith going to lead the outside line. As I look at this, Christopher Norris First driver to look to the outside 3 wide all by himself, though. So that's not going to work for the time being. But sometimes with drivers lifting for the driver ahead of him, you'll see, look, he's going to surge forward even though these drivers are not drafting anybody. He's going forward because they're lifting.
They're lifting a little bit of stack motion. It's allowing the 38 to get a run, to get by 2 to 3 drivers. But once they hit this straightaway, starts to fade as Cody Reed running a different scheme for the playoffs. He's running that Lightning McQueen type throwback scheme for himself and decided this is going to be his championship running vehicle, and moves up to work with his teammate Christopher Norris. They're also going to be getting a little bit of help from the 5 machine of Dakota Moniz. Dakota, very strong super speedway driver. He's going to be trying to make the push forward. They're also might be getting a little bit of assistance from Thomas Green. And here we go, Zach. This is the 3 wide action, 8 laps in. I'm kind of surprised that they're willing to go this hardcore on the outside, but a lot of drivers seeing a chance to move forward up, and they're doing so. Now it's Joshua Stovall leading that outside lane, trying to get the push to lead this race.
Opportunities is right. People are taking chances. As now Stovall, he jumped up in front of Cody Reed in that line, and he was been able to get a huge shove. As it's going to be close here when we come to the line. It looks like Stovall going to lead this time around, as now the bottom lane starting to deteriorate a little bit. You see the separation between the 15 of Vincesor, the 16 of Joshua Kanata. Look at that Stovall. He immediately drops down, so he gets the lead, gets clear. He's going to want to get the help of now the 12 of Presley Soar down the backstretch.
Well, look at that 77 of Mark Whitley aggressively side drafting, still side drafting that 12 machine, moves back up to the 00. Mark Whitley putting all his focus on the inside row. On the outside row, it's Snowy Desert Racing. 1-2 as Cody Reed drops to the inside. Almost a little bit of contact with 77 and the 42. But that's Mark Whitley machine in the middle groove, Zachy. He is willing to really go on top of other drivers. And slight blink there, they hold steady, but that aggression level is insane at this moment.
Definitely willing to pull the side draft, and you kind of got to use that, you know, because he really only had 2-3 trucks in that line. Look right here, Michael Miller going to drop down low. The truck with no numbers on the inside there. Going to drop low, go to the inside of Whitley, and Whitley better try to get down in front of Kanata, and he's going to close the door there with that hole one opening, because if not, he was going to go pretty far back, because now Michael Miller sees the help from the 38 of Christopher Norris. He's going to jump up high to the outside of the 00.
Moves up high, and honestly, with all of that aggressive side drafting, it made everyone back off and give space. There was a worry that we were going to see the big one with the slight contact of the 77 into the 42. Does not happen, and instead, seeing some big moves and shuffles as Stovall will move high, trying to get him a bump for Michael Miller. They were not lined up in the center of the corner, and luckily they hold it together, but there was a slight chance of a wreck there. Instead, huge run, and it's Stovall going to come across the line and lead that lap just shy as Cody Reed actually holds on.
Just shy of that lap with Stovall, like you said, as Reed did hold on to that. But man, Stovall, what a job by him so far to place himself up here in the front. I mean, qualified 8th, hasn't dropped farther back than that, and has been right up here in the mix as he's been down the likes of Cody Reed, who's come from 20th, we must say. And again, like you said, no surprise, Reed always willing to go out there and make that third lane work. Was really one of the first drivers to try.
Went for that chance, and it's worked out greatly. And I think also, no surprise to see Joshua Stovall look so good up front and aggressive. This is the tone he set in the first race of the season, his debut race at Daytona. He was seeing the Brown machine up front, big moves, and made us a Stovall fan just from the first race alone. And we're seeing it once again here at Talladega.
Yeah, we are. He was definitely making great moves at the restrictor plate earlier this season. So we'll see if it comes down to a victory for him tonight. But Miller really pushing on that back bumper. He's been sliding up the racetrack, and 38 Christopher Norris, he's took a few looks to the inside of him. We got to be careful here. Can't get too offset if they come together. Those bumpers don't align. It's going to be weird, but here comes the 38 with a big shove now from the 11 into 74. As the 38 jumps back down, it's going to be 4 wide here into 3.
4 wide. It's going to be John Flores, Miller, Christopher Norris, and then also Cody Reed for a quick moment. Now going to be slotted back a 3 wide as they finally get themselves sorted out. But in those quick moments of 4 wide, luckily we're here at Talladega. There's plenty of space to go 4 wide, but any more than that, you are going to be a little bit more nervous throughout the field as everyone trying to get in controlling positions. And this is looking very similar to past super speedway races. Zach, it's Snowy Desert Racing, all inside of our top 6.
Yeah, they are. They're implementing the strategy to lead the lanes, and right now Stovall's trying to put a stop to that as the outside lane kind of deteriorating a little bit. It's only Nick Crawford and Forbes up top in that middle lane, rolling with the push from Michael Miller and Mark Whitley to that 42 of Stovall. The middle lane winning out now.
We're seeing now some big movements. The drivers that started deeper in the fields finally able to get up front. Michael Miller in qualified 12. He's moved up in that second position, leading the outside group. We've also seen the likes of Cody Reed. He qualified 20th. Now inside of our top 5. Other drivers outside looking in. I mean, back just inside of our top 10. The 19 of Talladega. He's starting shotgun of the field. He's up inside of the top 10 in 10th place, up 17 spots. Like we traditionally see in super speedways, it's not where you start, it's where you finish, because everyone has a chance at these super speedway races.
That they really do. This is the equalizer, so to say, when we come to our sport, and the drivers got to take advantage of that, you know, that are not normally in positions to lead laps and be up front and win races. So great to see someone like a Michael Miller, 90 and 990, who, you know, has had, you know, a season that he would love to have been up front a few more times, but a place like Talladega, a place where he can get up front, as you see, and it's pretty wild back here behind the 74. Nick Crawford is riding over with that 19 Dingler there. So you had the 61 of Talmadge all over the back bumper.
And if you're just joining us for the first time watching the ISRC Truck Series, that teal machine that doesn't have a number, that's Eric's stamp. Eric has a small little 53 on the back bumper for himself. Other driver that also does not have a number showing is going to be Michael Miller in the red in a white machine. Is up front. A little bit of a shenanigans move by going to be Stovall with a big push from Cody Reed. Gets the 42 out of shape. They're going to be stacked. Mark Whitley forces it 3 wide. Stovall still going to be hugging the middle. Norris pushing up the 42 just slightly. And there was almost a wreck there. Started off with Stovall and Christopher Norris swapping positions from leading the inside and the outside group. Cody Reed with a big push that shuffled that 42 almost back, but salvaging space, salvaging the run, and Mark Whitley keeping Stovall leading the outside lane.
Whew, that was wild stuff, and we're only halfway to the stage now, you know, so this is going to make things get a little bit more tricky as we get closer and closer to that, and we know if the caution comes out within 5 laps of that stage number, that is the stage points that are given out, so you want to be there a little bit earlier than that stage caution even, Sam. So we're going to start to see the wick pick up a little bit more even.
I know for you Stovall fans, this is going to be Josh's best chance to get into victory lane. So you're part of the Brown crew that's always rooting on for this 42. Get a little bit louder because it is getting very chaotic up front. The question is, do you back out after that scary of a moment? And it looks like it's keep your foot in the throttle and hope that you just get a cleaner push the next go around, which, I mean, Zach, mentally, how difficult is it after getting a big push that almost got you spinning around to just trust that next bump from the same driver behind you?
You know, when you save it and keep it together like that somehow, it almost gives you more confidence. It scares you a little bit, but it's almost the catches that make you feel like, man, I can kind of take any bump. So just give me what you got. And as now Christian Norris is going to jump up in front of him, and a big shove from Whitley to the 42. That's going to connect to the 38's back bumper, and they got a huge head of steam down the back stretch. Is now the 38 going to throw the block? Is the 42 going to come back up high? As those two have been trading back and forth with each other.
Christopher Norris, the kid. I mean, we always talk about Norris's aggression, I felt like, when he first joined the league all the way back in those first handful of seasons. And seeing the fact of Norris's growth has always been a fun thing that we've talked about these last few seasons. But his aggression of blocking at super speedways, always terrifying. And a lot of these drivers, we've seen that throughout even the first couple of seasons here in the ISRC Truck Series. Blocking has been a big thing to note just in the early portions of this race. And I'm not surprised to see Norris do it, but at the same time, how much blocking are you truly worried? I mean, worth taking here, knowing that you're in the championship 13, and this race could throw away any chance of a championship.
You know, a little early for my liking, Sam. You know, as a driver myself, I feel like, you know, taking those risks in this style of championship, it's kind of against my morals, I guess you could say. As a driver. I would definitely not be willing to risk such things like that, but, you know, it's a new generation, so to say. Sometimes they're willing to send it every single lap, and, you know, it can sometimes put you in the right position, and sometimes even backing out of a situation can put you in a wreck. So it could go either way, but definitely something I think a lot of drivers may not be doing this early into the race.
as we are closing in to close to 10 laps to go on the stage. Again, there will be no official stage yellow thrown once they finish the stage, unless there is a on-track incident that brings out a yellow between lap 25 and 30. That will count as the stage. So these drivers all know, hey, we're getting a little bit more racy. Once you get 3 wide, I mean, Zach, you know it yourself. Once this field gets 3 wide, it's hard to make any moves to go forward. You're kind of stuck where you're at. So everyone's trying to place themselves perfectly at this moment, knowing we might be stuck 3 wide to the end of the stage starting now.
Whew, yeah, big moves being made too still as the 77 of Whitley went up to block the outside line of Cody Reed, and Stovall followed with them, and that really stalled out that line there a little bit. Now the middle line of the 74 Nick Crawford pushing the 99 of Michael Miller. So this inside, but like you said, when you get 3 wide like this, it kind of does create such, it's just traffic, really, just so to say. It really clogs up the track. There is more space available here at Talladega than Daytona, so you can kind of force it 4 wide. We've seen it already tonight a few times, but 4 wide is about as much as you're going to get out of it. So definitely can't take those risks too lightly. But right now, everybody looking to hold position as the outside line there. 42 of Stovall, the 77 of Whitley kind of dying out now without help.
They're trying to find spacing to make some big moves, but Stovall going to be left on his lonesome on the outside. He's going to need a little bit of help, or at least find an opening to drop down low. But instead, it's Michael Miller, Wesley Sora going to be up front as they cross the line. 10 laps to go in the stage, and we've seen some big movements of drivers. Just takes you 2 laps really to move from around 18th to our top 5. So you can make some big moves quickly. As you see Eric stamp of that teal machine, getting help from Danny Cochran on the outside. Danny Cochran started only back in 24th position, now inside of the top 10. The 2, he's also well known at winning at super speedways. A lot more of his wins have happened at Daytona, but Danny is a very much well-known racer at these super speedways and just iRacing officials, fun races. This 2 knows how to get up front, and he's proved it right now. But it's the win that he's really would love to just get off his back, because Danny Cochran, our season 3 champion, yet to win a race this season, and he really needs that monkey off his back.
I'm sure he would love to have that happen for him here late in the season, just to get that feel good moment for himself. But yeah, he's been a great drafter in the past, and he's got his teammate Vince Sora right here. And we get closer and closer to the stage, people are going to start to take risks. You even see their teammate of Cedric Hunter up there being led on the outside with the likes of John Forbes. You're going to see now Vincent Sora jump in front of that line, and now that outside line's rolling.
Cochran Sora Racing is trying to get up high if possible, and it's going to be the 2 drivers that are hunting for the championship. Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora going to be up high. They're also going to be having the regular season champion and points leader entering into the playoffs with John Forbes behind him as well. That outside row is strong. It's got some of the fastest drivers you can be looking for in the ISRC Truck Series, all trying to muscle their way forward. The middle pack starting to deteriorate a little bit. The inside row not pushing as aggressively, and it's John Forbes trying to find a way to snake his way to the inside for middle of 13. Not able to do so. Instead, Forbes will take the middle row, trying to carry with Eric Stamp moving forward with 8 laps to go in the stage.
Big move by Forbes there to get back to that middle line as he wanted to go past the 2 ahead of him. Now he'll have the shove from Stamp. He takes the lead, but big momentum coming from the outside from Jared Talmadge, but down the back straightaway into 3. I think John Forbes, electing to go low, get in front of Vincent Sora, and control this race.
I'm loving this shot because you can see our top 15 drivers all giving their 100%. It is go to be up front, get those stage bonus points. Everyone from 16th on back given space. They recognize, hey, 1 bad move, and we need some space to maybe slow down, avoid a wreck if it happens in front of us. And it's our top 14 saying it is full go time as we're 3 wide up front, battling for second. It's John Forbes, the most winning driver this season, trying to keep his nose up front, and to win this stage could really make this season out of reach for some drivers for the championship.
Vincent Sora, big move there. He jukes the 11 out to the middle lane, and that's going to have the control now. Go to the bottom lane of the 15 and the 13, but the 11 going to drift back to the 53's front bumper as he gives the shove, as Talmadge still leading that outer groove. As now Mark Whitley kind of shoving his way down in front of Cody Reed. Wasn't fully clear there, but made himself clear.
Trying to just muscle his way into an opening, and wasn't clear, but made it clear as Cody Reed able to hold steady. A couple of other drivers just holding their breath for a quick moment there, because we were just a lap away from, if a caution comes out, that's it for the stage. We are officially now in that window, and it's going to be Vincent Sora, John Forbes up front, and Zach, the gloves are off. It's all about being inside of the top 10 from here until the end of the stage.
That's exactly right. That caution comes out. It ends that stage when they come around. So we'll see if anybody can muscle their way up here and maybe get that quick yellow to get those points, or will we get to the stage without a yellow? That's going to be the huge question to be asked here as John Forbes leads the way with Eric Stamp as they've jumped down now low. It's going to be Danny Cochran, though, leading that outside line with the help of Mark Whitley. This outside lane going to be pushing forward here quickly.
Trying to give a bump, trying to give a shove. Who will further on back? Think about getting a little bit more risky for themselves. Once again, it's now dwindled to just our top 13, now our top 12 that are going to be in this first pack that are trying to find an opening to go 3 wide, maybe think about 4 wide if there's a chance to make those big moves. John Forbes going back and forth, but here's your second pack with Ollie Fonseca, Stovall, Ethan Smith, and also going to be that Planet Sim teammates of Jarrett Talmadge and Thomas Green. They've been further on back, also with Isaac Shelley. This trio, I think they're setting up and waiting for the chance to pounce and move forward, but step 3 wide is going to be hurting their chances to catch up to that lead pack, and this actually could hurt them to lose the draft if they're not careful.
Very true, Sam. Yeah, if you get out there and mess around too much, you lose that draft. You will be in a tough position the rest of this race if it was, so to say, go green. So can't take too many risks, but you can see right now that trio lining up that outside lane move, but I think they're kind of waiting. They're waiting to see if we see that yellow flag fly, if we see something big pop off, and if we don't, I expect them to try to fly up through on that final lap of the stage.
Now we're going to be dropping down low to the middle groove. Third lane's going to be built up, led by Mark Whitley. The inside, oh no, contact's going to be made. Drivers are spinning and spilling, and it's Justin Campbell. John Forbes involved. Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley. Oh, it's the big one. And multiple big playoff contenders are involved in the first wreck of the night. And that is your stage.
Oh no, that is not what these drivers want to see. Tyler Dingler, the only one so far I've seen with the meatball flag and required damage, but huge playoff implications there. And right there, very quickly, just shows you we were just riding along, and quickly a yellow flag pops out, and that's the end of the stage there, folks.
And just a big block that threw this thing away. Watch out for the 11 machine. That's going to be John Forbes, who we had seen big blocks made by his teammate Christopher Norris, but we're coming to the end of the stage. There's no give. It's all take at this moment because of the bonus points that are on the line. And you're going to see a massive run by the 77 here with Cody Reed bouncing high with his teammate. Then John Forbes says, all right, I'll give it a chance. Mark Whitley tips, taps, connects, and away they go with Tyler Dangler and also Justin Campbell seeing the contact and reacting between themselves, and big damage for the 11 with the way he spun to the outside. But like you said, Tyler Dangler, the only driver with required damage after that incident.
Very interesting incident there. Yeah, I mean, definitely, a big block from a big run coming from behind for the 11 of Forbes. But in my opinion, Forbes got there pretty early. It was really the move from Whitley and from behind to, I mean, he was getting shoved, so really there was nothing Whitley could really do, in my opinion, with saying this. But it was really that back move to the left that kind of created issues right there, because it got them kind of side by side and everybody kind of stacked up. But tough break. You see Forbes there lift off a little bit, but yeah, just tough racing and everybody going for it there at the end, so to say.
And there's the contact, and we'll take another look at it. See Tyler Dangler's contact that gave him the meatball flag, and looks like was able to get the meatball flag repaired. We're gonna have a lot of damage to deal with for that Hardy machine. As for Dangler, he was running all right. He gets contact with Justin Campbell and came creeping down into him. A lot of these drivers trying to react to get low to get away from the contact and damages that were in front of him. And yeah, Campbell backs off. He gets ran over. That forces Dangler to the inside.
Such a tough break right there. And you're going to see that's what the required damage is right there. That left front suspension just taking a huge hit and breaking that. So like you said, that quickly, that required damage went away from him, but just shows you how fragile sometimes these front ends and suspensions can be. Is that huge hit for Tyler Dingler there, just a tough ordeal.
That contact for Campbell's from the teammates Talmadge and Green. That we're trying to make that huge surge to get up front, but instead that will be our stage. The drivers will clean that one up. I believe at the time of the yellow, Eric Stamp actually was our driver ahead of everybody who got that stage win. But out of pit road, Vincent Sora able to take that top spot for himself. And wild racing here at the start. And it's only going to get crazier from here as the field is getting ready for this launch. But I think for us, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, it's going to be some more racing action here at Talladega as it's the first race of the chase of 6 races as it is your Blackjack Dega Dash 150 here this evening. We'll be back right after this for more Super Speedway action. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are green for the Blackjack Dega Dash 150, the first race of the chase. And Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, teammates going to be in the line, having the great takeoff for themselves. As we're at commercial break, can confirm your stage winner goes to the 53 of Eric Stamp and that teal machine on the outside, leading the outside row. As we are giving you the coverage again of the ISRC Truck Series on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, we're back to Green Flag Racing. The stage is over. It's now all about who can find themselves into victory lane and salvage a good points day after our first big one of the day.
That's for sure. Yeah, this is now open things wide open. So no points to be given till the checkered flag now, unless you go out there and lead a lap or lead most laps. So, and or just stay clean. There's actually a bonus point here at ISRC for actually getting no incident points. So if you can do that here in Talladega, that's a feat in itself. So we'll see if drivers are able to pull that off and get any points they can out of this thing. But right now, it's getting a little bit mixy up front as Presley Sora and Ali Fonseca trading the lead back and forth.
And Ali Fonseca, got to give credit to the 24 machine. I talked to him yesterday. He was not even sure if he was going to be racing today. Had some really bad back issues. Was able to get them figured out, get some help with his back issues throughout the day, and was luckily able to get into his sim and get racing here tonight. Another one of those drivers that would love a good day to finish out the rest of the season, and happy to see him out there on track. That's all we can say. Going to be having Stovall right behind him. Dakota Moniz, third car, and also fourth car on the outside. Haven't talked about him at all here this evening. It's Joshua Freed, fourth car on the outside, the 39 Black Machine. I mean, Freed is a driver that has been so much fun to see. His growth was part of the cluster of drivers, I would say, 3-4 seasons ago that just was having trouble to stay out of trouble in wrecks all the time. And he's been getting out of trouble. He's actually found some decent speed at some tracks. Super speedways, though, is where we hope to see Freed have a good finish.
That's for sure. Yeah, definitely could be a good night for himself, but the rest of the field doing a good job right here. And we're seeing kind of similar to how the race started off, just double file, kind of easy pushing everybody. And I think it's going to be this way for a good majority of this till the drivers start to get a little bored. You know, every now and then, as a driver myself, you get a little bored and you just want to go out there and mix things up, so to say, and make our life up here a little bit more interesting too. So we'll see that, I'm sure, as the run continues on. But I expect some interesting strategy here to play out, because really from lap 54 on, it opens up that window to make it to the end of the race. We could see people get aggressive as early as pitting as early as 54, but I think we might see a few owners trying to build a little bit of a window just in case we get some green white checkers and have some fuel in spare. So strategy could definitely start to pop off here in the next 20 laps and see really who goes aggressive and who doesn't.
Yeah, and if you pit early and you find yourself not getting caught up with pit issue of speeding or making a mistake on pit road, I mean, pitting early isn't the worst thing in the world, because when you make a pit stop, traditionally you do not go a lap down, and you're able to stay ahead of the pack if you have a fast group around you. I'm curious if maybe we'll see that for some of the bigger teams that we have out there in tracks, or bigger alliances of drivers trying to pit early to stay out of trouble, just in case there's another big one once we get closer to that pit window.
It is always a great strategy, in my opinion, to do that. And it really depends on what the truck and the vehicle is doing. Sometimes you actually see where it's 3 or so. We're actually starting to get a little bit racy here now as everybody's starting to dash back and forth. Here's the 42 of Stovall went up to block that outside line. We also seen some other drivers back out of it. So 3 wide, really like 5-6 rows deep immediately.
And it's actually going to be just Campbell who jumped out but wasn't able to slow down enough. He's going to be stuck on the apron trying to get back to the tail end of the pack. But Stovall, big block to the outside, and he will be rewarded to be pushed up front. 42, again, part of the 11 drivers racing, not for the playoffs, but for some cash. It's the Dega Dash that was put on from Blackjack and that racing group, and hoping for a good run here tonight with Stovall, as he's going to be having the likes of Dakota Moniz on that back bumper, the 5 past winner here at Talladega, all the way back in season 1, when it was a dramatic finish of quote-unquote backmarker drivers that were able to keep their nose out of trouble and finding himself into victory lane. That's the one and only win for the 5 machine, as he's got some fast drivers behind. Do you block high, low? Well, it looks like Stovall goes high, Moniz goes low, and the middle group just disappears in an instant.
It does. It's just wild to see how fast the momentum can change hands when drivers are changing lanes like that. As Stovall went up to block that outside line. Now John Forbes is going to jump to the middle line there. He's got the help of Fonseca. That's going to slide him in position to drive up here.
Finding your alliances, finding drivers you prefer racing around. I mean, Zach, in these first half of a race, it certainly could change the drivers' mindsets, but for you as a driver that's raced in a lot of super speedway races in the past, when you've raced with a lot of these guys before, do you think that it changes your mind when you see someone be a little bit more stable than they're traditionally known for, or are you still kind of keeping in track of, I've seen you not be as stable in the past, I'm going to avoid you for this race?
I think it takes a long time to convince a person, so to say. Us drivers, once we see something that kind of scares us, it's kind of hard to get us to go back to it. So yeah, you got to show a lot of patience for sure. If drivers won't help you, if you feel like you've been a little too erratic, they don't want to help you, you definitely got to show that you're willing to get better. And sometimes you'll have those people that will, but like I said, it's tough to change just those habits as a driver. You always instinctually will go back to that first initial thought.
As Dakota Moniz is hold steady on the inside, having a past Daytona winner of Eric stand behind him, an almost winner at Daytona of Joshua Freed on the inside group, everyone else above them. Drivers that have been multi-time winners in this series or trying to attempt to be a multi-time winner. We've seen the likes of Presley Sora, the rookie who entered this season as one of the favorites to watch out for. I mean, Presley has really impressed all of us, I would say, with the way that he showed off. Got his first win at Iowa at the start of the season with some of the drama that happened in that fog race. But this 12 expecting a lot of success. And a lot of these drivers, there was a confidence skill that they were asked entering this evening. The 12 and about 3 other drivers said they feel like they are at 10 out of 10 confidence. The championship is possible to be hoisted at the end of this season.
Love to have confidence there from drivers. And I love the interviews we've gotten from Presley. Sora's old Christopher Norris is going to take the 12 out.
He's going to go down into the grass. Will Sora be able to move back up? He's drifting through the grass, back up into the field, trying to avoid everyone. And Presley Sora does just that. Able to avoid collecting any other drivers, stays off the racing surface, but he's off the pack, off the speed. He needs a caution if he wants to get back into this race.
Oh, and that is heartbreaking because none of his own doing. I mean, that was just an erratic move from Norris. I think he thought he was clear all the way to the bottom. It just was not fully clear. As I think we're going to get a second look at it here, Sam. And yeah, this could have been, I mean, much more worse. It took out a lot of trucks, but unfortunately for Presley Sora, he's just all over.
Big thing, watch out for that red 38 on the outside. He's going to drop all the way down low. This has been the move that's been made all throughout this race, but not clear at all. Body slams Presley Sora into the grass, and this is one of the most impressive things you can watch out for. Throttles up, he's trying to drift to keep himself off the racing surface, does so, lets the pack drive on by, and now is able to fight for another day, but the draft is lost for the 12 machine, and Presley Sora, a caution is needed, but not promised here tonight.
Man, that was quite the save. You know, that's definitely a highlight move there for Presley Sora, but he's going to look at that as a low light because it's ruined his chances here now. So he's going to quickly be going probably a lap down, but I actually think he's going to have the help of at least a Brayton Laster who's going to drop back as a teammate and try to help this 12 at least maybe be able to fight to stay on the lead lap, so to say, before, you know, and get a caution to get himself back into it.
Yeah, or just delay. Delay getting caught is the big thing that's going to help having another driver, because it goes from losing over 5 seconds per lap by yourself to more minimizing it to maybe 2 seconds per lap between a full pack that's up front to just having 2 drivers in line, as Brayton Laster as well as Presley Sora finally are going to be collected with one another. They're going to be about 18, 19 seconds off the leaders. Tyler Dangler, after getting repairs done, is finally back out on track. 13 laps down is Tyler Dangler. So his hopes of trying to win the Dega dash is now in the hands of, can everyone else just wreck out at this moment? Otherwise, the 19 is just going to be puttering around this track and watching the other competitors continue to duel back and forth and speed on dueling. So we have up front some of the best of the ISRC Truck Series. We have 3 past champions inside of our top 4. Nick Crawford, our season 4 champion. Trent Jump, our season 2 champion. And the last 2 championships, John Forbes rides that outside row, and they are powering their way forward as we ride on board and get a sense of what it's like with the 5 machine at Dakota Moniz.
Great look here from the back bumper to Christopher Norris. And I'll say this much, Trenton Jump had his hands full as he's going to be going around here for the push from the 38. Is the 38 just giving him a huge push off of 4? Christopher Norris, wild night for him tonight as he's had multiple incidents.
I mean, I know I've talked about get a killer instinct, but Christopher Norris is just on another world of I'm going to just drive my own way and hope that everyone else can hold on around me. Big push, major save by Trent Jump. And for Trent Jump, I mean, huge kudos to himself. Big slide. And I think he'll be able to still stay in the draft with this pack.
I mean, what a save from him. And I mean, that could have been race over for him right there. But he saves that thing, gets right back in the middle of the drafting pack. But now Christopher Norris is going to have the likes of Dakota Moniz jump up in front of him. It looks like his teammate Nick Crawford. So is Crawford going to give the push here to the 5 around the 38?
And drivers are trying to find spacing. And now at this moment, I think a lot of these drivers giving a huge deep breath as we are closing in at the halfway moment of this race. And I mean, Zach, this is one of those races where you think the field is calming down and then they ratchet back up just in an instant.
Yeah, it catches you off guard kind of a little bit, at least for myself, Sam. You know, it'll be calm for a moment, and then you'll have just someone kind of make just a slight mistake. And I mean, that's what happens when you're going 191 upwards of 195 mph. It's very easy to make those slight mistakes because in that, highest speeds, 1 second of misjudgment can be an eternity, and you can see a huge wreck. And luckily everybody's saved it so far, but it's definitely been some unfortunate moments, especially for the likes of the 12, who's still 24 seconds off this lead.
For Christopher Norris, he really doesn't get a good deep breath because he just took out the armadillo driver of Trenton Jump with that push off the exit of the corner. And now he's got an armadillo driver right behind him. That Tila machine, that's the 53 of Eric Stamp. That's right behind Christopher Norris. And Norris has got to be hoping to hold a steady wheel. The drivers behind maybe starting to notice how many friends or allies are left out there on track with some of these big moves.
That's for sure. I talked about him having a bunch of friends out there. Oh, we'll see if they stick with him here in these tire moments, because he's not been the greatest of light here so far tonight, but we'll see who can get up there and mix it up, as everybody's still 2x2 here, and we're getting closer and closer to that marker of about lap 54 where you can make it. So we'll see if someone does flinch at that point, but right now everybody just racing.
Everybody's just racing. Update on Pressasora and Brayton Laster. They're about 25.5 seconds back from the lead pack currently. Tyler Dangler is still 13 laps down, and 24 drivers are still attached to this lead pack. Christopher Norris, Dakota Moniz lead up front. And looking at the past races, Zach, I mean, we talked about cautions. 3 to 5 has been the traditional window. You can technically take one away because there's also been that stage caution that we have seen automatically be thrown during those races. I'm curious if we're going to see that low caution count with some of these big saves, and we've seen that in the past few weeks with the mile-and-a-half racing, that when we see big saves, those would traditionally be the cautions that we would see in the early portions of the season that drivers have gotten better at saving with. We might see that low caution count. And also, interesting fact, the driver that's led the most laps yet to win here at Talladega. Here's anyone trying to steal that stat away and become the first driver to do so.
It always seems like that person that does lead the most laps is always snake bitten at the end of these things, or something ends up taking them out. And it's tough, I mean, to be up there all day long leading this thing and not get caught out by something. So it's really just a timing thing, and you could be a driver that is running 25th all day long, and then all of a sudden the last 10 laps you start to make your march forward, and then that last lap you take the lead and your day is completely turned around.
And the only driver that was close to leading the most laps and coming away with the win was Mark Whitley, who was 2 laps behind in that Season 3 win, where he also had his teammate Jonathan Smith that just kept pushing him and keeping him up front throughout the end of that race. And team effort going to be a big thing to watch out for. A few drivers curious. I mean, a few people in the chat curious about drivers. Joshua Stovall, he's been up front majority of the night, currently leads that outside row. He's done a great job avoiding whenever chaos starts to pop up. And one of the drivers of note that's in the middle of this pack, caught up in that first big one, John Forbes in the 11 machine. I mean, Zach, he almost went flipping during that first caution. He's now in the middle of the thick of things in this middle pack.
That was one of the things I looked at, like someone that hit really didn't hurt the truck. I mean, look, even Mark Whitley, he's in 14th. I mean, a lot of these drivers who were right in the middle of where it all started didn't really get too bad of damage. I mean, even Forbes, like you said, he lifted off for a moment, thought he was going to flip over. He luckily stays on all 4 wheels, and he's right back in the mix this thing to win this race. So it is all coming together as all the lanes are coming together here. As there's going to be contact. There's jumping to the wall between the 38.
Big save, but send him to the outside wall as the whole entire outside lane has to dissipate and disappear. And again, it's big moves, instant calls, and without having, for some drivers, live spotters, there's no way to react to those moments fast enough. And just in a blink of an eye, we went from, I was going to praise Trenton Jump, to horrific incident that's going to force that 46 even further on down with more side damage. And with required damage, Trenton Jump is forced to pit road.
Wild scenes here at Talladega is, like you said, Jump. I mean, he has destroyed on the right side of that truck. So yeah, he's gonna have to most likely come down here because he's got that required damage flag. So sure, he's not feeling the greatest about that. Is definitely some big moves, and it just seemed like two moves being made at the same time. Christopher Norris going to go to the middle to make it through wide. Trent Jump looking to go to the middle to follow the truck ahead of him, and the two lanes converge, and it ends up the 46 getting body slammed into the outside wall.
Yeah, and just big moves being made all around. And again, it just, some of these moves are unpredictable. You can even look at and say, oh, I'm expecting this driver to cut from the inside to the middle pack. They were made, and some drivers able to find the luck to survive. Others not going to be the case. And for Trenton Jump, one of our playoff contenders, big damage, big trouble, no help, no speed, and he's just going to stay out as long as possible until he has to be forced to pit road. And you hate to see that for a past champion of this series to start his playoffs off like this.
It is such a tough break, and like I said, I mean, you know, normally it'd be like, if this was the first round, you'd be like, all right, going through the next week, get a win or get a great finish, move on, and you'll have this thing dropped off your record. But with this playoff format of all 6 races counting towards the total points, this race here going to be a huge stain for the 46's chances. So Trent Jump already in a tough position here to start these chase playoffs off.
And finally going to be entering pit road now is the 46 machine, as you see this lead back. Seeing Christopher Norris still leading the way with his teammate and Nick Crawford behind him. Middle pack going to be having Justin Campbell, which Campbell, I mean, kudos to the 9 machine. At one moment, he dropped back, had to run on the apron because he wasn't in the fine space to get back with the grouping. And he's now in the mixture here with all the slicing and dicing back and forth. It's enabled some of these drivers to get back into the mix that we thought were out of it. As a swappage going to be happening up front. Nick Crawford needing some clean air. Christopher Norris gets out of the way. He'll drop in front of the 11, and that middle pack, Cody Reed also going to be moving up in the Snowy Desert Racing. All 4 drivers still racing and all still trying to find a way to control this race, but it's so hard with the big runs we've been seeing here tonight.
No doubt, yeah, it's tough when you got these huge runs like this and drivers willing to take it. It's now the 38 going to jump up there. Is now even the 11 is going to jump up in front of Campbell. Look at that, the shove from the 9 to the 11 transfers all the energy to the 38 down the back straightaway, and he's going to have a huge head of steam. They could drop down and have the 4 teammates in line, but it looks like Forbes smartly going to hold that outside group, and they're going to try to like control the both lanes again.
Try to find a way to drop down, but again, not having a real life in-person spotter, trusting iRacing spotting system, it can be slightly delayed. That can get you in trouble, as we've seen already. Is now Justin Campbell going to be inside. Sipes gets into the 9 for a quick moment, and hold your breath. Sipes keeps it off the wall, but the loss of momentum gets everyone jostled around. And once again, a huge save from the field.
Whew, having moments of scariness, so to say, here from a few drivers, and that's going to definitely catch a few people by surprise. And this is getting close to the point right here this time around where you can make it to the end of this race. And if you were able to come down here, stay on the lead lap, if the caution does come out, you cycle to the lead by not having to pit. So that's going to be where some of these drivers are thinking about that. I'm interested to see, does anybody get aggressive here and come this time around, or do you wait 4 or 5 laps to kind of build your buffers up?
As drivers continue to stay out for another lap, again, waiting for over the radio calls or even in the driver text chat. Drivers have the ability to communicate with one another and let each other know, hey, we're going into pit road this time or the next. It is an option to announce when you're going into pit road. Some teams are all in the same Discord channel. They're all in the same voice channel. They can talk to one another. And sometimes they like to just dart to the pit road. And sounds like drivers over the radio making the announcement this lap. It's pit stop time for some drivers up front.
Wow, being very aggressive with it. This is definitely going to make things very close if it comes down to a fuel race with a few cautions to extend it. So, you know, they'll be hoping that they can save enough fuel under that caution break to extend themselves out to a further distance. But look, we'll see. When do they like to come down? As there was people talking about it, but it looks like they decided to better them.
And that is the gut mind game. That's also a part of everyone having that communication ability. You can state, we're coming into pit road, and then not make that call. And sometimes try to trick other drivers to pit early. Sometimes you're just trying to maybe think that other drivers overthink when they're actually going to make that pit stop.
Definitely a little bit of the mind games. And that's the fun thing about sim racing. You know, you couldn't do that in real life. I mean, other than kind of doing the fake wave, hey, I'm coming to pit road this time by, but here everybody can hear each other talk. It's a radio channels, and it definitely makes things a little bit more mind gaming for sure. And everybody's starting to relocate to that bottom line. That tells me quickly we'll see a pit stop here soon. It's just, I think, a few people trying to make others bite a little bit earlier here. As it looks like farther back, a few will come down.
Few will come down, led by Ollie Fonseca. Also going to be having the likes of Garcia, Moniz, Ethan Smith, Mark Morales, Joshua Kanata, all going to be coming down as a good group for themselves. And having a good cluster of 5 to 6 drivers, not a bad pack to have. I think that's kind of the number you're looking for if you have a good group to enter pit road and exit together if possible.
Very, very true. Yeah, I like the strategy of kind of getting grouped together, and we're seeing a few teams start to do that. Talladega Racing, they kind of group themselves together. Same for Cock and Swirl Racing. So they're kind of all trying to position themselves where they can come to pit road and make the most time with their teammates on the entry and exit.
And Zach, I'm curious about your thoughts as we wait to see if anyone fans out this time around. But green flag pit stops, when you have a group of maybe 5 to 4 drivers pitting together, as Eric Stamp, also going to be Isaac Shelley, close to one another through the travel there. But when you have 4 to 5 drivers putting together, would you rather see everyone take off as quickly as they can out of pit road, or are you willing to back out, slow down a little bit, make sure everyone exits together as one?
You hope that everybody has a clean pit stop and everybody can just get going. That's best case if everything goes perfect scenario. Now, if you have to slow down a little bit, it is necessary, because the quicker you get grouped up, the faster you will go. So sometimes you'll see where drivers will get a much better, launch out of pit road, and they'll be way up ahead. They're going to have to slow down and let those drivers up behind them catch up and kind of get grouped up together. But sometimes you can see packs where they get dislodged from each other. You'll have that one guy that's a straggler, and he'll have his 4 or 5 teammates have to leave him, because if they lift, they lose seconds, not only of time. So it's kind of one of those games where you do it if you have to, but you were really hoping that you can just go full mat to the throttle after you get off the exit of pit road and try to get the speed as quick as possible.
One driver not able to get fully up to speed and is not a part of that first group that pitted. It's Martin Morales Jr. that is expected to be caught by this lead pack here in the next 2 to maybe 3 laps. And oh no! Michael Miller goes sideways for himself as the 99 big slide, and luckily was able to get back onto all 4 and did a little bit of a do-si-do spin on the side panels of the 99, keeps it all together, gets rolling. But man, an impossible save, and now the 99's in a position where he's got to hope for a caution.
99 has to almost pit this time and try to hope that others pit the next time around, because this is a tough position to be. As you're going to see the replay here coming off the exit, 42 Estobo, a big shove for him, but it's just a little bit off center. And then I guess the 99 up the track, he kind of turns back down as the 42's below him, and poof, he almost went over there fully, Sam, and luckily somehow stays on all 4 wheels.
One of the strongest side skirts I think you'll ever find.
Oh, Cedric
right
Hunter
there.
going around.
Oh no! Trouble in the lead pack. Cedric Hunter. Hard contact for the 13. Others try to scramble around. And there's the caution you're looking for. And it's by the magnet of the night. Christopher Norris was around that incident.
Oh man, this is going to be unfortunate to see again. The 38 of Christopher Norris, big push to the back of the 13 here, but the 13's going to drop low behind Forbes and then kind of just turn down and just kind of hook him. As we're going to go back here and get a second look at it here, Sam. But yeah, this is going to be not the greatest look for Christopher Norris. I mean, he's had a tough night out here on the track.
Just giving you a little bit of a tease there as you get to take another incident and a better look as the drivers, the reason why they were moving up. Lap car, 8 machine, Mark Morales, they're driving by, and everyone's trying to make sure that they're following and the driver in front of them. And Norris so close to the 13, just clips, sends the 13, Cedric Hunter, into Hunter's teammate of Vincent Sora. And Vincent Sora's got to be concerned. That's side damage. When that driver forced the outside wall, that's a lot of damage you're picking up for yourself.
Yeah, this is
and that's required damage for Vincent Sora.
Yeah, I was about to say this is a meatball flag for him. So I am very, very concerned for the 15, and it is not only a good side, damage, but his right front looks very, very torn up. So he's gonna have to quickly get that, together. But man, this is it's been a tough day for some of the playoff guys getting caught up in a few of these incidents.
That caution going to be allowing Mark Morales to get his lap back, as he was the first car 1 lap down. Also allowing Presley Sora and Brian Lassiter to be able to get back on the race scene with the front pack, as they really stay on the lead lap until the time of that caution. And man, what an incident from these drivers up front. Just 2 big incidences. And for Michael Miller, and also one of those drivers that kind of got saved with the time of that caution.
Definitely a few drivers that got saved. I mean, Presley Sora, he's going to like the likes of this. Is going to get him back going. But, man, oh, man, I mean, this puts us in the window to make it all feel plenty good. But this is setting up some wild scenes, because we've seen quite a few incidents here tonight where I think it could devolve into some wildness at the end of this.
It certainly can, as with some of the drivers time into the cautions, able to get some damage repair, going to get back out there on track. This will put us in a position to take a quick commercial break, I think, for ourselves. Settle down. So in the madness, I think the drivers need a deep breath. So do we, as we are getting ourselves prepared for the final dash of tonight's race for the ISRC Alara Productions Truck Series, the first race of the chase for the Blackjack Dega Dash 150 here this evening at Talladega. We'll be back with more racing action after this.
They're 5 wide behind her pit. Oh my, the 5 wide here. This ain't gonna work. They make it last. Bumping and banging to the end. They're beating banging for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trying to drive it down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Cedric Hunter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck it.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top 2 bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Alara Productions Truck Series. It's the first race of the chase for Season 7. As the drivers just got done with this carnage, we're back to green flag action as we enter the restart zone. for the Blackjack and Dega Dash 150. Eric Stamp, Isaac Shelley gonna be your front row as we get rolling once again. Update on some of our playoff drivers. Vincent Sora, heavy damage. He's only back in 23rd position on the lead lap, but highly underpowered. Also, Trent Jump gonna be 4 laps down, make it 5 laps down, excuse me, but he's out there on track, the first driver a lap down. He's going to need a few more wrecks to get back into the mix, but these drivers, high, low, anywhere he can go. And Zach, I mean, this is one of those races where we're coming to the end of this thing. Almost 20 laps to go, and honestly, it's still wide open to anyone to win this race.
It really is. This is going to get wild. So I really think a few people are getting up, starting to get a little bit. Oh, his big run there from the 53. See, the 38 jumps out to the outside. He's going to be all by himself. As like I said, I think this is going to get wild here, Sam.
Christopher Norris, he's been the magnet of a lot of issues here this evening, and the curiosity of who's willing to be friends with him is going to ratchet up. It's 2 different playoff contenders' mindsets. One's going to be sticking with Christopher Norris. The other, Justin Campbell, thought about dropping all the way back. No one's going to give him the space to do so, so instead he gets back in line on the inside. The field's getting ratcheted up. They're getting crazy. Let's take one of our chances to get a sense of what it's like to hear the Ferrari truck to the final few laps of tonight's race. Back, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen some scary moments as less than 20 laps to go here tonight for the first race of the playoffs. And once again, middle of the pack, big pushes all around. It's going to be Christopher Norris going to read to the outside, and drivers almost getting hooked as they scatter to get around the slower machines. And Eric Stamp, extremely slow for the 53 machine, and I think he might have blown an engine. And it is Stamp blown engine. That's what happened there.
That is exactly what happened. Yeah, Sam, he just lost all power right there, and he was trying to roll himself back to pit road, but that was almost a disaster. There's trucks wrecking on the back of turn 4. Mark Morales around. Looks like him and Dakota Moniz have come together.
It was going through 3 and 4. Dakota Moniz just getting a little bit too close to the 8 machine and spinning each other around. I don't know if there was any netcode involved in this one. I think there might have been. But that caution resets us and let the fireworks start to grow even more. As Mark Morales, Dakota Moniz, you see there, just, I think they were bound to almost make contact, but there was about 6 inches to a foot of netcode that just ripped that 8 machine around.
I think you're exactly right, Sam. I think they were going to make contact regardless. but I do think this Neko makes it worse. You're going to see from the aerial shot as he comes down, that just never even touching. So yeah, just tough ordeal there for Morales and Moniz, who two drivers definitely who not normally involved in the yellow with each other there, and that's just going to be hurting their chances here. But this yellow flag going to bring back together a lot of people who were involved in that mix up there.
Yeah, it kind of brings the whole entire field back together. Require damage for Moniz, Stamp, and Morales against Stamp. Blew an engine right as they were going into that incident. So with these drivers, for some, this is a caution that's needed. For Trent Jump, 5 laps down, he's going to be able to get at least one of those laps back because he was not involved in that incident. He'll be down from 5 to 4. Going to need a few more incidences, though, and wrecks to get back on the lead lap. Joshua Stovall, Presley Sora, you're front 2 currently. And, I mean, Zach, while we were in the crank it up, already they were looking like they were bound to wreck. And we're going to be close to around 12, 13 laps to go, and we go green from this caution. I mean, there's a chance for a few more cautions with the ways we've been seeing these drivers race.
I'm nervous for a lot of these drivers right now. They are definitely, I think, going to be feeling the pressure for sure of this race. Start to get under hold because, yeah, the laps are clicking away here, and we'll be quickly to 15 to go next time around. And, you know, when it gets under 10 to go, it's going to be very, very wild, so to say. So I'm telling you, we've had a lot of drivers who've come back through, made up some laps and made up some deficits after getting involved in incidents, and now they're going to be right in the mix here up here to fight for a win.
And our first official DNF of the evening can be Dakota Moniz, as he calls it a night, and it's going to be the first driver to leave the server. Eric Samp, again, blown engine. He's going to be in there for a while. Mark Morales, he blew his engine on top of all the other incidences, so both those drivers are going to be sitting in pit road for quite a long time. And a driver that critically needed that caution to come out, have more time on repairs, Vincent Sora, back into pit road, trying to get some of that damage repair that he is dramatically needs to get done quickly here this evening.
You're exactly right, Sam. I was just checking that out. Yeah, Vincent Sora on pit road, getting the truck more damage repair on it. And yeah, this was a critical caution because, you know, he was able to keep up with the pack there. He was able to stay in the mix. And I looked at the speeds. They were all right, but to really have full capability here to go here and possibly even win this thing, he's going to need that truck a lot more fixed up. So he's definitely going to sit here for the time being as you see the pace car coming through 3 and 4. The lucky thing about Talladega when you do get damaged, this 2.66 mile racetrack, it's a long one. So you luckily get the ability to sit here for a while, get your truck worked on, while the rest of the field, it takes about 1:45 seconds here to pace around this thing. So definitely getting as much time done on that 15 truck.
And if you're just joining us this evening, welcome to the show. It's been a crazy one to watch, this ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series race. The first race of the chase of the playoffs. 6 races in total they will run. Whoever has the most points of our 13 drivers that made the playoffs will hoist the Season 7 championship. As for tonight, there's a little bit of extra on the line. 11 drivers put into a winning pool to see who can finish ahead of themselves. And those 11 drivers was Tyler Dangler, John Forbes, Cody Reed, Joshua Stovall, Ethan Smith, Vincent Sora, Dakota Moniz, Jared Talmadge, Presley Sora, Thomas Green, and Mark Morales. Whoever finishes ahead of those 11 have a chance for a little bit of cash for the Dega Dash. And honestly, right now, if it ended at this current moment, it would be Joshua Stovall would take that little bit of extra cash for himself, as he'll be starting on the inside. But a lot of moments have happened here this evening. Presley Sora, Mark Whitley, they've had some moments here this evening. Isaac Shelley's been in some contact, but there's some quiet names that we're finally seeing inside the top 10. One of those being Samuel Garcia, 5th place currently for the 50 machine. Joshua Freed's back up front. And this is going to get fun because those names that we haven't really talked about also, of Ethan Smith, Danny Cochran, those drivers further run back. We know they're about to be making this surge.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the mad dash here to the end for some of these drivers. So things are opening up, chances and opportunities are going to be available, and now the drivers are going to have to take advantage of it. I know a few other drivers are hoping we see a few more wrecks maybe so they can get themselves back on the lead lap. I know Trenton Jump, he's 4 laps down. He wants a few more yellows, so we'll see if we can add to that yellow count, or will we get this under green flag conditions here to the end.
As the field stacked up, I know Eric Sam just put in the chat, it was fun before I forgot to cool the car, and that certainly is a trouble that hits some people. Sometimes you're just having too much fun, and you forgot to look at your temps and realize you're about to expire that engine. Some of these drivers know, okay, you might have just learned the range you can go on pushing a driver. Let's try to make sure we don't go over that range too early. 15, gonna be 14 laps to go when we go green here. Pace car into pit road. It's Joshua Stovall, Presley Sora, your front two, as we are about to get back to green flag action for the Blackjack Dega-150 here tonight. 42-12, it's go time as we roar into turn number 1.
Joshua Stovall looking for his first ISRC Truck Series win. He can smell it, Sam. He sees the victory in his hands. We're going to see if he gets to take it here tonight as the 12 of Presley Sora with the push from the help of Mark Whitley. I mean, this group of 5 here shoving out ahead, but look at this. The 50 of Samuel Garcia, big run from behind from the likes of Cody Reed.
I mean, Joshua Stovall's had some of his best finishes recently. His best finish, 6th place at Charlotte, hoping to finally get a top 5 pick off the first time this season in his rookie campaign here for season 7. Stovall, though, late move to the outside after a big push, finds a little bit of space to work with, and Presley Sora says, okay, trust that this back bumper doesn't get turned. They're going to be 3 wide for 2nd place, and it's Stovall somehow ahead of them all. Let's try 3 wide, 4 wide. Ollie Fonseca with friends behind. It's the 24, 25, 38. 3rd lane is moving, but they hit the wall. Do they have enough momentum, though, off of 2?
That's going to be the huge question, and man, Stovall definitely willing to risk it when it comes to trying to get in front of the lanes. We'll see if he goes and tries to throw the block up here to the 24, but I think too big of a run from the outside, but it's only 3 trucks. We'll see if the run stalls out here down the back stretch, or are they able to pull up ahead?
A few more drivers will be moving up to that outside groove. Ditching Mark Whitley for a quick moment, but Presley Sora says I'll follow with the 77 in line. As Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed going to be running that middle groove. It's Garcia, Norris looking for some more help on the outside 3rd lane. Not going to be there for now as it's 13, going to be only 12 laps to go. Oh no, Mark Whitley, Shelley, and others into the outside wall.
Head first into the outside wall, and I think I'm trying to see exactly what trucks were involved there, but man, someone went head first right into the outside wall.
It was Shelley going right into Mark Whitley, and then Samuel Garcia looked like in the 50 machine. Hard contact for himself, but it's Whitley, Shelley, required damage for the 77 and 71. As here's the replay, just looked like a bad bump. And the 71 right up into Mark Whitley, and then they flip into Garcia, who bounces off of, I believe that was Thomas Green or Talmadge, and he goes screaming into the outside wall.
You know, and really where this kind of went all wrong a little bit looking at it myself here. The 71, he's a little bit up higher than the likes of the 39 and the 42 who are on the bottom side with him. So he's kind of like offset a little bit to the right. The 12 of Presley Sora, he's kind of stuffed up in the back bumper of the 77 of Mark Whitley here. And he's going to kind of come down the racetrack here in the tri-oval and just catch the right rear with that 71. And that's what's going to send him around into there. And then Samuel Garcia, tough hit into the outside wall. That was the truck I was looking at with head first. And man, oh man, this right here, changing things up again, playoff implications.
And that was Jared Talmadge. That was bounced off of Garcia, who almost came down and clipped his teammate at Thomas Green. Green was very lucky to not get clipped in the outside wall, just like the 50. And Mark Whitley, who came back to race in the ISRC Truck Series after leaving last season, just because of the playoffs changing to a chase format, felt like this was going to be his best chance to finally have a championship in this series. And it starts off with heavy damage in this first race. He's still out there on track, but Mark Whitley finally has to pull off into pit road with that required damage flag.
Tough ordeal there for Mark Whitley, who wanted to have an opportunity to go fight for a championship this season with the way the format was, and now going to even have a bigger hole than he was going to like heading into the next race.
And the championship isn't over for these drivers. The thing that is hurting them is John Forbes. The 11 machine entered tonight with a 22-point advantage over just 2nd place alone. Had a over 34-point advantage over the likes of drivers that were tied for 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. There is a huge difference in points, And it's the drivers that are catching John Forbes that are getting involved in these wrecks that's kind of going to balloon this championship hunt and fight to a point where you're going to need John Forbes to have 2 bad races to even get back into the fight.
That's exactly right. And, you know, we saw Forbes earlier almost go for a lift off there for a little bit. I think a few drivers are like, yes, this is our opportunity. And then they look at his truck again and they say, oh, man, this guy's completely clean and he's right back in the mix again. So, you know, Forbes, I mean, he's definitely got the, so to say, cat 9 lives. He's able to get involved in that incident and kind of skate through it with nothing. So luckily for him, he's right in the top 6, but anything is still yet to happen here, especially when we get that green flag drop back down. You could drop all the way as far down to 22nd, really, with, you know, the amount of trucks we still have the lead lap here.
It's still going to be a big fight as we will have less than 10 laps to go when we go green for these drivers. Currently, it's Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed, Joshua Stovall, your top 3 with Joshua Freed, Presley Sora, John Force, Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris, Jared Talmadge, and Thomas Green, your top 10. And out of those top 10, Joshua Freed, the biggest mover currently. One driver of note, I feel like we really haven't talked about a lot, but maybe those doesn't want us to talk about them because it seems like our Commentator's Curse has been on fire tonight. Joshua Kanata, driver who snuck his way in, just pointing his way late last week by 1 point over Danny Cochran. The 16 coming away, 14 currently on the track, but a quiet night for Kanata. I'm excited to see what we're going to see from the driver that won this Talladega race. Last time we were here 2 seasons ago.
Hey, he was able to make it through the craziness of that. I think we could have the likes of that here play out very, very soon. So we'll see when the green flag gets back underway, and we'll see who has what. I mean, so far from what I've seen, the 42 of Stovall, he's out there trying everything in his power to control the lead of this race. I would not be surprised if we get out to do this thing if that ends up being a major talking point for sure.
Big thing, though, for him, got Snowy Desert Racing drivers, Cody Reed, also having John Force, Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris. They're all inside of the top 8. And they have been the force that's been trying to stop this 42 all night long. So we're on to the back stretch. Again, thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us. Haven't been not a lot of sponsors that we usually get to shout out here on Monday night, so we want to say thank you to the title sponsor for the ISRC Truck Series, that being Larry Art Productions. Larry Art Productions is a great comedy channel to go check out if you want to get some good laughs and honest reviews on food. Recently, Larry's been doing a lot of food reviews of all the different specialty items, from gelato to burgers. It's been great to watch the humor that comes along with Larry Art Productions reviews, also the great posts that he makes throughout Instagram and on YouTube. Go check out Larry Art Productions today. Get your humor and get you a good laugh to get through it. Gotta say, it's been a fun one. We always love when you have great sponsors around. Zach and Larry has been probably one of the best sponsors I've seen on iRacing, with the way that he supports drivers, leagues, and races. I love the fact that Larry's a part of such a great league.
Oh, Larry is amazing. Yeah, he definitely, you know, not only support ISRC, but also doing other leagues out there. So he is a huge, huge support in the sim racing community, and always got cool ideas that we're able to be a part of.
As we get ourselves prepared for this restart, less than 10 laps to go. Ollie Fonseca, Cody Reed. Cody's dad's in the chat with Lenny, cheering on Lightning McQueen. On the outside, doesn't get the best launch that he's hoping for. It's going to be Ollie Fonseca and Stovall. Better launch on the inside. Also going to be seeing a huge push from the 12 machine of Presley Sora. Outside group needs to get a little bit more adjusted. And here we go. Zach gets the runoff of 2. Who's got the better push?
That's going to be the question. Who's got the better push right here? Is that outside line starting to trickle forward? It looks like Fonseca, he loves what he sees. He jumps up ahead of Cody Reed. Is now it stacks up, and look at this. It's going to be the 11 of John Ford jumping to the outside with the likes of Christopher Norris. 3 wide, 2 rows deep.
2 rows deep. Continuing to drive by Stovall on the inside. Middle's got Ollie Fonseca. John Ford's the 2-time champ, trying to make it 3, leading the outside groove. The 11's been looking quite strong. Got some scary moments throughout tonight. And he's got the magnet of all magnets here this evening of Christopher Norris right behind him. Thomas Green finally getting a chance to surge forward, as they're going to be stacked 3 wide throughout most of this group, but it's 2 by 2 for our first 2 to 3 rows, as Joshua Stovall, 8 laps to go, continues the lead on that inside groove.
Been doing a great job of holding that inside lane. We're going to see if he decides to slap in front of the 24. Does he stay low? Stays low for the time being. 24 Fonseca gonna have a slight run with the push from Cody Reed, but it's gonna stay even for the time being, as the outside line of John Forbes, them are trying to build the momentum with the likes of Christian Norris and Thomas Green.
Trying to find a chance to move forward, looking at everyone that's attached to this front pack. 20 drivers on the lead lap. 19th runner, Vincent Sora, still has a truck that's drivable to stay attached. Curious on if he's got a drivable truck to move forward, or does he wait for the big one? Stovall still leads up front with Ollie Fonseca. Big push from the Lightning McQueen machine to Cody Reed as they're making that middle groove work currently, but everyone's starting to stall out. It's pick your lane and hope it's the right one moving forward. 7 laps to go here tonight.
It is stacked up right here, folks, as now Stovall leads the way. He's got a decision to make coming off of 2. Stays with the bottom lane for now as John Forbes is able to pull ahead here with the charge. He's going to drop in front of Fonseca, as now Norris going to lead the outside lane. It's going to be a 3x3 SDR in the middle and the outside.
And the big thing to know, radio, Cody Reed announcing to the pack, he was starting to run a little bit hot. Ollie, that's why John Forbes dropped to the middle to give allowance of space for Cody to Ollie Fonseca in that middle groove. These drivers already just saw Eric Stamp on that previous caution blow an engine because he was running too close to the driver ahead of him for too long. That's what all these drivers are worried about. And for one driver to note, Ollie Fonseca, he's staying hooked up to the 11 of John Forbes, but for how long can he do that before the engine wants to expire?
It's going to be the huge question. He's going to have to cool that thing down. And these drivers, you know, quickly, those things will heat up, especially you got the 18 of Thomas Green there. He's got the shoving from the 13 of Cedric Hunter on the outside here. He's tucked up underneath that 38, and that is very tough to keep that thing from not overheating. Same for the likes of President Soro, who's been pushing the 42 for a while. That's why you see these kind of ebbs and flows back and forth. These guys are managing their water and oil temps to make sure they don't have that same incident that happened to Ayrton.
And it's fully go time for these drivers because we are within the moment. If we get a caution after they cross the line, if we get that next caution before the white flag, we will head to overtime. And everyone knows it is a critical time. The last 3 attempts at Talladega, we've been forced to overtime. Will tonight be a change, or can we stay green as John Forbes enters tonight as your points leader, leads that lap on the middle groove with Ollie Fonseca, but Fonseca ditches him. It goes high with Christopher Norris.
If you're the playoff drivers, you got to make sure that 11 doesn't win. He goes out here and wins this race, he's only going to make that gap that much bigger. So you're going to see who's going to help him is the 24 with that big shove from the 38. He hasn't decided to drop down. The 38 is going to look to his outside now. The 24 drops into the middle lane, but John Forbes, very smart move. He's going to drop to the bottom and try to lead the way down there, but it's going to be the push from the outside. The 18 pushing the 38. Christopher Norris leads the way.
Christopher Norris going to be leading the way on the outside groove. Ollie Fonseca in the middle. John Forbes down low. They're all trying to find openings to maybe drop down, lead whatever lane you can. Find an opening if you're a pusher. And Cody Reed finds an opening. He gets into Ollie Fonseca. Fonseca with a huge save. Goes back to the middle. And Cody Reed leads on the inside. Ollie Fonseca, huge save in front of the whole entire field. And now it's SDR trying to lead every lane possible. Cody Reed in the wall though for a quick second on the outside. Stovall now leads the inside groove, but they don't have the help. They need a little bit more help on the inside.
Here comes the 42 though. Great shove from the 12. You see him, he's connected bumpers. Ain't nobody giving nothing. You can see there is no space between the front 2 rows and the trucks behind them. They are pushing for everything, and you got to manage those temps though because we're coming to 3 to go. If you push for too long, it could be an issue. And look at Vincent Sora. He's right in the mix. 3rd truck in the middle lane.
And getting help from his teammate Danny Cochran. They're going to be seeing those drivers in the middle groove. Vincent Sora thought he was out of this race, had required damage. The whole entire front right bumper looked like it was done and toasted. Now he leads the middle group. How much of the front endo is gone? This is the first time Sora was leading a group for a second, but John Forbes falls in the middle. Now we're back to 3 wide for this lead position. 3 laps to go. Cody Reed, Forbes, Fonseca, gonna be your front row leading the charge as Vincent Sora just shoving the 11 as far as he can.
He's gonna shove him out here. That's what his best chance and opportunity is. He's got his teammate here, but they're wrecking behind him.
Reed goes flipping. Oh no, drama in the back. And it's huge wreck for the 25, and we're heading to overtime.
That's right, overtime it's gonna be. And man, oh man, what a shove from the 15 to that 11, but it was the drivers behind that were caught up right in the mix, and it looks like believe it was the likes of the 67 on there, Yingling, that was right in the middle of that.
Yingling and Norris. And it's going to be through 3 and 4. Watch out as these drivers were making a huge push in the middle, going into turns 3. And it's going to be the red machines. It's Larry Yingling in the 67, Christopher Norris in the 38. You see Norris trying to stay on the inside quarter panel. And right here, I think that's some net code, Zach. Gets into Yingling and pushes him up. And Cody Reed trying to ride the wall like Lightning McQueen. But with these trucks, that is going to be terminal damage if you're up there too high. And his night is done.
Such a tough break, and yeah, it was definitely some neck code there. I mean, just close heart racing. Everybody's not giving much room, but yeah, I mean, it was still a good, couple foot there between those two before that turned them, and that's tough. I mean, it adds to the 38's body count for tonight, but this one I don't think was in nobody's real fault here. I would so to say.
We've been seeing all night long. You're trying to slow down that group as much as you can without making contact. And netcode, it's an invisible hitbox that, just based off of people's internet connections, can sometimes be off center from where we visibly see the vehicle and it contact with another driver's hitbox and spin them out. And that's exactly what we just saw there. As Cody Reed, Christopher Norris require damage for the both of them. Yingling's going to go into pit road, just assess what damage he has upon him. And everyone else, it's the hard decision. Pit road, is it calling for you now if you have damage to repair? Or do you stay out for track position? Right now, John Forbes has got to be scratching his head, wondering where did all his teammates go? Because he went from having all of Snowy Desert Racing instead of the top 6 to now the closest one to him is only back in 10th place with Nick Crawford.
Yeah, that's tough when you don't have your teammates like that. And I think that caution, not to say it saved them, but it kind of helped them, because you had that 15 and that 2, Vince Sora and Danny Cochran lined up perfectly. They were gonna try to shove that 11 out really far there and try to get around him at some point. So I think this kind of breaks that 2 and that 15 up a little bit here with them starting in different lanes here. So that's going to definitely change some things up. But man, oh man, John Forbes, once again, just master class in being up front at the right time.
You keep yourself out of trouble, and that's what helps you become a champion. I mean, these are those championship drives I feel like you always talk about when drivers, there's that one race that you just need to recover from. There might have been all the scenarios of why you should not have been still racing, still up there. And that's what's happened to John Forbes here this evening. Again, this is just the start, though, of a 6-race chase format. We will be having next week off for the ISRC Truck Series. We will be back on the 18th of November. And it doesn't get any easier, as these drivers will then head to North Wilkesboro for the second race of the chase. Third race of the chase, they head to Sonoma Raceway to the West Coast in Sonoma County, excuse me. Then in next race after that, we head to Las Vegas, Phoenix, and finishing off the championship hunt at Chicagoland. Every race has a little bit of magic behind them, a little bit of a storyline of how the past has shown drama. But I think here tonight, I mean, the story's not over, Zach, but this is the 4th race in a row that we've ran at Talladega that we've had to use overtime attempts, and this is gonna be our first of 3.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, because the way like these happen is it's tough to really get a big run build up. So it's really up to the drivers on how they restart this. I mean, if you stack it up here on the very start of the box, it's gonna be very interesting heading into it. But if we see some gaps form, we'll see big runs, but it's gonna take a while. So I think if you're really outside of that top 10, you're kind of hoping mayhem happens, so to say, because I don't think it's going to open up too much for you unless a wreck or something that opens up the door for you. But right here, I think it's going to come down to who's going to have the best help. Will John Forbes get the best help from Fonseca, or the 42 of Stovall give that push that the 15 needs to get clear of the 11?
As the 11 and the 15 going to be your front row, looking at other drivers and scenarios of how to get better finishes for themselves. Looking at Trenton Jump, early troubles for the 46. He went down at 5 laps down, currently 2 laps down. And for Trenton Jump to get back on the lead lap and a chance to advance in positioning, he would need both Cody Reed and Isaac Shelley to be involved in the next wreck. and for us to have to go into attempt number 3. But if this is your first time watching iRacing's overtime rules, it's simple. These drivers will have a 2-lap shootout when we go back to green flag racing. It will be a green, white, checkered. If we find ourselves going green through the first lap and take the white flag and be on that last lap, this race is official. Any wreck will not bring out a caution flag and we will race it to the end. But if we have a caution flag be thrown on our first lap, that once we take the green here, we will then go into overtime attempt number 2. So it's either take the white flag or we take the yellow, and we'll see how this race will conclude. John Force, Vincent Sora fought for the regular season championship, and ultimately went to John Forbes in the 11. But Vincent Sora could use a big pick-me-up with the win here tonight. But John Forbes wants to play spoiler, or could it be someone else who's a non-playoff driver who wants to be up front fighting for a win? Our first overtime attempt of the evening for the Blackjack Dega Dash 150 is underway. It's a clean start for the inside row for John Forbes. Ali Fonseca trying to get close enough, but Forbes already moves high, trying to block the run for Vincent Sorino and co.
Smart move, because that inside lane just not formed up like he would need. But here comes Cochran. He's going to have to shove for the 24. This is going to give them a chance down the back straightaway. But what does Forbes do? He looks out his mirror down the back stretch. Vincent Sora tucked underneath it. Will the 42 of Stovall be the first one to make the move too?
And it's going to be Vincent Sora ducking down low. Stovall's going to be trying to give a push, if possible, to the 11. Will give so. Huge run for themselves, but it's going to be the Planet Sim drivers who got behind them. Green as well as Talmadge trying to make the third lane already work, but they don't have enough assistance behind. It's instead Forbes, Sora, in line for now as we're on the front stretch going through the trial. They have to cross the line to take the white flag to make this race official. They're bumping and begging, trying to not give us the white flag, but we'll take it. This race is official. Here we go, Zach. This is it. Who's winning the first race of the playoffs?
Move Vincent Sora there to get to the inside of the 11. As the 11 goes to the middle, the 12 of Presley Sora, he's going to be trying to help him, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The 42 of Stovall, though, big push from Michael Miller down the backstretch. We'll see what happens here as they unfold on the last half of the lap.
Will it be a playoff driver or will it be a non-one? Joshua Stovall going to be having the biggest run on the outside. Michael Miller giving the help, but will they work as one or do they fight and claw for themselves? Vincent Sora getting a push and trying to get some help from Ali Fonseca. It's not there right now. Stovall's going to be keeping the lead at this current moment. Through the trial, your final attempts to make a pass or a run. They're 2 wide, 3 wide. Stovall still with the lead. Stovall looking for any chance to hold them back. They're wrecking, and it's Joshua Stovall. Stovall wins.
Miller second and Crawford third. Joshua Stovall with the huge victory, and it's mayhem behind as we see parts flying.
They are wrecking and scattering, but your Dega Dash winner is Joshua Stovall. He takes the cash, takes his first victory. Enjoy this one, Brown crew. Joshua Stovall is finally into victory lane.
The Alabama native wins at Alabama, so that's amazing to see. Congrats to him. Michael Miller, what a recovery for him too, because those two came together at one point in the race. So that was a great recovery, and Nick Crawford there able to bring home third position.
I mean, at one moment, it was an argument in the chat of pissing at one another between the two groups of fans, and ultimately they came together to help one another. Stovall taking the victory, and what a charge for himself. Michael Miller, again, he was riding on his side skirt, just trying to keep his car on all fours. At one moment, could have been stuck on his roof, but instead comes away with his best finish here this season in second. Nick Crawford going to be the highest finisher of the Snowy Desert Racing crew. Danny Cochran, who also is having a quiet night, in fourth. And it's all the way down to fifth place with John Forbes. And man, what a charge all around. Well, let the 42 burn it down. This is Talladega, and this is a victory for the 42 machine. When we come back, it's the post-race show. We'll talk to Stovall, Miller, Crawford, and a spotlight driver right after this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show. And I know for a lot of you, this is one you've been waiting for all season long. What a charge. They're late the victory here tonight for the Blackjack Dega Dash 150. Gonna give the victory to the 42 of Joshua Stovall. We will find ourselves going into the victory lane to talk to the man of the hour. It took him all season. We knew he was strong at super speedways, but a victory finally in hand, and as well is your Dega Dash winner, Joshua Stovall's with us. Josh, I mean, what a run for yourself. We saw you caught up in incidences all around, but a victory to yourself. How are you feeling after a chaotic night that you had?
I am feeling so good right now. We had to stay aggressive all night. I sat here and it's just one race too short of making the playoffs, but I decided tonight I was going to come in here as a different driver and be a lot more aggressive. I feel like we've been raced that way for most of the season, and so I decided to go ahead and give it back to him a little bit. I'm sure I didn't make many friends tonight, but that's okay. I'm kind of speechless at the ending right there, man. I was just holding on, just driving the hell out of it. So
You definitely were, Joshua, man. Congrats on the win here at Talladega. I mean, you restart there in the 4th position on that green-white checkered. I mean, what was the plan, and did it go completely to plan, or did you have to change it up there a little bit?
I'll be honest, there was no plan, man. It's Talladega. You never know what's going to happen. I just kind of picked a line, and I knew Vincent, I needed to push him. I had Presley behind me. I knew he was going to want to push his brother right there. So I didn't really want to fall for anything. I did sit here and say if a third line formed at the top, we were going to jump it and go. And sure enough, it did. And, I got to thank Michael Miller for sitting here and giving me some amazing pushes right there at the end to sit there and push me out in front and ultimately control the finish right there.
I mean, speaking of your pusher, Michael Miller, yourself and Michael got into a situation in the middle of this race, a little bit of a clip that sent the 99 around. Were you shocked on the fact that he was willing to give you that push there late to get you guys up front?
No, we actually talked about it. I had my spotter relay the message to him in the chat on YouTube. I had let out the throttle as much as I possibly could, but the 11 sat there and he wasn't letting out. So I think just the pushing and me letting out ultimately led to him coming across my nose, getting clipped and spinning down towards the infield. But yeah, we talked about it. It's all good.
Well, Josh, an incredible night. We knew this win was going to happen at some point, and it finally happens here tonight. And before we let you go, floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Oh, goodness. I just want to thank everybody that sat here and watched tonight. Thank you guys for sitting here and putting on such a great broadcast. Thank the wife for letting me sit in here and do this on a Monday night. She enjoys it. She tunes in every single race. Big shout-out to Leaper. We didn't get to really shout them out at the Charlotte race, but they are an upcoming Bama band here, and they're putting out some pretty good songs. If you're into heavy metal, you need to go check them out. That's their thing. And shout out to my spotter, Ryan Quick. Holy cow, the man has stuck around the entire season. I can't thank him enough. I owe him at least half this money that I just made tonight, so we're going to give it to him.
Well, that is your Dega Dash winner, and as well in his rookie campaign, you can say he's a winner in the ISRC Larry R Production Truck Series. Joshua Stovall wins your Blackjack Dega Dash 150. Enjoy this one, Josh, and good luck in 2 weeks. We're back to racing at North Wilkesboro.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. Y'all have a good night.
You too. As we go from victory lane, we go down to second place. The driver that had himself grinding on his side skirt, but was able to get the damage repair, get out there on track, and push Stovall to the win. We got Michael Miller with us. Michael, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. Congratulations on second. You were part of a lot of drivers that had to fight back after wild nights and be involved in wrecks. How are you feeling after this race and coming away second?
Hey, well, we're pretty stoked after that flip back here on the backstretch. I thought our race was over. Thankfully, it didn't hit the wall. It landed on 4 wheels. We grabbed a gear. Got lucky with the caution there. Got the pit, got 4 new freshies, and I think we came back out in fifth or sixth there after flipping the lap before, and just tried to keep it up front. Then we had that somebody popped the motor. That hurt us a little bit, sent us to the back, and just
worked our way back up front. Thankfully got a second place finish out of it.
That you did, Michael, man. Congrats on pulling off second here tonight. I mean, best finish of the season. You restart there in 8th. I mean, how was it playing out throughout your mind there, how you were going to attack what was ahead of you, and it seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, I was a little worried. Like I said, that car blew up, and it felt like it might have center punched the grill. Didn't have the takeoff it did, and I thought I was going to get swamped up by everybody behind me, and thankfully it was just enough just to keep up, and was able to make moves, and found a little pocket there and passed where we could. Made it stick.
You certainly did make it stick, Michael. I know this season has not gone the way that you would have liked. You've had some quick machines in some of these past races. I know we got next week off, but we come back for North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, Las Vegas. How are you feeling about these closing races as the season's coming to an end here shortly?
Pretty good except for Sonoma. I'm decent on a road course, but nowhere near the caliber of these guys. These guys are pretty good.
Well, Michael,
Hopefully we can get a at least one more top 10. Hopefully 2 before the season's up. I think we're there.
Well, I cannot wait to see how you're going to perform in those future races. Like I say, we know you've got the speed. We're just hoping it comes together at the end. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
I'd like to thank James Paints and Design for getting that wrap on there, even though we ain't got this number thing figured out yet. For some reason, no matter what I try, I can't get a number to stay on this thing. Thank you guys for giving me something to watch tomorrow when I'm at work. Thank the league for putting on these races, good races at that. And that's about it.
Well, it was a fun one to call, Michael. Congratulations on coming away second here tonight. Enjoy it, and good luck in 2 weeks when we come back for North Wilkesboro.
All righty, thank you. Appreciate it.
As we move from second place, we go down to third to the driver that's somehow found a way to cut down on the gap to his teammate in the championship hunt. Second in points after this evening is over. We've got the 74 machine and Nick Crawford. Nick, you saw your teammate kind of fall everywhere in this race, heading backwards, it seemed like, but you're the one who comes away third at the end of the night. How are you feeling after your performance this evening?
Honestly, that was probably the most stressful plate race I've been a part of in this league, especially. I was telling my teammates that this plate race is more stressful than when it was a cutoff race in the other playoff system. I have no idea. It's just you want to get as many points as you can. And I think being at the beginning of the round of the chase, it makes it even more important because John's got a pretty big gap. So I wanted to make up something. It wasn't much, but we made progress.
Definitely made a little progress there for yourself, Nick. I mean, what was kind of the, you talked about it being stressful and stuff. What was kind of the MO coming into tonight? What was the plan? Was it kind of to stay out of trouble, or were you kind of trying to be aggressive at the start?
It's a little bit of I like to think of as cautiously aggressive because stage points were so much more important at this point. And Talladega, everybody can win, but when everybody's trying to win, especially stage points, it's hard to get through the pack. So you got to balance, looking for the wrecks versus being up near the front just in case, like what happened tonight where a caution came out before the stage. So we could have had better points, but I think we got like 8th or 9th or 10th. So we could have gained a lot more, but it was a hard balance, but I wasn't trying to lay back. I wasn't trying to be overly aggressive, just kind of in the middle.
And we saw that throughout tonight where you were placed and ultimately able to find your way through the madness there. Nick, we've got ourselves an off week next week, and then we're back for the final 5 races of the season, being North Wilkesboro, Sonoma, Las Vegas, the next 3. What are your thoughts for these next 3 races with the past drama that's shown at the next 3 that we're heading to?
At Wilkes, I'm not a big fan of it, but I can do decent there. I know some guys are good. You got like Vinny and Danny, they're really good there. And Mark's pretty good in short tracks. I don't really know how good John is, but that guy is super consistent. Road course, that one, Sonoma, is probably my least favorite road course just because I'm not good at it. I love the track, but I'm just not good. And then the last three, I think, is where I need to perform the best. That's where I can perform the best. So I'm going to use it again, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the next few races, but I'm glad we get a break in between.
Well, we're excited to see how you're going to perform when we return. Nick, before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, of course, I have to shout out my beautiful wife first. She is the most important, most beautiful person in the world. Next up, I want to shout out to my family. They're awesome. My teammates are great. I know they had up and down races, but they always keep it positive in there. I want to shout out to Justin Forbes for the paint scheme. It was supposed to be him running, but he had an oopsie last week, so I took over the Cal role. Me and Ricky Bobby did pretty good there at the end. I don't think we worked together as much as we should have. But shake and bake. I want to thank my good buddy Robert Irvin for putting a sponsor on here. I want to shout out to the idea, the sad, stay another day. If you're feeling down, there's resources out there. So there's plenty of reasons to stay another day. And then shout out to admins and broadcast team. You guys are great. And I haven't been able to do it for a while because I haven't got an interview, but happy birthday, Jake.
Well, happy birthday to Jake. And Nick, happy birthday to yourself. Congratulations on third. Enjoy the rest of your birthday. Enjoy this finish. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Sam. Bye.
As we find ourselves heading to see if we can talk to a driver that had a very much up and down race as well. Going to be 7th place finisher of Vincent Sora as we pull in the 15 machine. Vinny, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You come away with the top 10 finish. At a moment, it looked like you had a chance for the win. But man, how are you feeling after a night that we thought was over, but somehow you salvaged with a top 10 finish?
Yeah, I was talking to a few of the other guys there. I'm grateful that I still had a truck that was able to compete for the win, but man, I'm really annoyed with how things played out there at the end because as per usual on the super speedways, I feel like I did every single thing right tonight and I just get wrecked for nothing at the end of them. I mean, just for no reason. It's just the same old typical move that will never work and will cost us, and I'm always the one that gets punished for it and punished for it the most. I think like the only truck that actually got turned around sideways, and as I was spinning around sideways, I got to see the guy who I'm battling with in the points pass me after I saw him go to the back a lap before. So I don't know, just senseless moves that I see every single week that cost us there coming out of 4, but I'm happy that I at least did everything right tonight, and I'll take this week off and regroup and get ready to hopefully go win some races and a title.
Definitely, a night that I think you, like you said, you wanted to play out better. You made the moves to get right back there in the mix, Vinny. But end of the day, you still gained 3 points, so could have been, I guess, technically worse. But how do you feel about the next few? Like you said, with the week off, do you feel like this is at least a gain, at least something?
Yeah. I mean, any points that I gain obviously help, just because no matter what I've done in the last month, my worst finish has been 4th, and I've only lost points. So this is the first time I've gained points since I think the very beginning of September. So yeah, I just need to keep on hopefully chopping away at it, getting stage points and maybe some race wins. There's a road course coming up, so if I put some time into that, hopefully I can go win it. I'm pretty good at North Wilkesboro, and then Vegas is just going to be a draft track. So we'll see how everything pans out. I need to stay away from nonsense that seems to always magnetically find its way towards the side of this 15 truck. But other than that, I'm confident in my ability to go win some races and a championship.
I mean, Vinny, curious about your thoughts on the recovery of tonight's race. With the amount of damage that we saw visually from our point of view, were you shocked on the fact that your truck was able to get as repaired as it was to even have a chance to fight for this win?
Yeah, I came into the pits and I had like 5 and something minutes, and I got like 2 off on the first stop, and it was really just like suspension. Nothing really aerodynamically that was holding me back, because I was able to hold the draft even when I still had 3 minutes left, and the steering wheel was just knocked to the right a little bit, so I had to do a little extra driving. But yeah, whenever I got all of it fixed, I knew I was going to be perfectly fine. And then I just charged up to the front and made the moves that I saw and knew would get me there, and just calculated everything out to what I thought would get me to a spot to win the race. And yeah, I did that, and then the rest was history.
Well, again, congratulations on salvaging something out of this, Vinny. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just shout out to all my teammates there. Danny was a big part of why I was able to get back up to the front when we were shooting the middle there. So him and I have always worked well together on the super speedways. I wish we could have found each other at the end there, because I think one of us would have been doing burnouts. But yeah, shout out to all my teammates, Cedric, Danny, Larry. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting, and everybody that makes this possible.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That is going to be 17. It's going to be 7th place finish here tonight for the 15 machine of Vincent Sora. Vinny, congratulations on a top 10 finish and moving up to 3rd in points for the rest of the chase. Enjoy this finish. Enjoy your break, and good luck in 2 weeks when we head to North Wilkesboro.
Thanks, fellas. Have a good one.
You too, as that will conclude our interviews here this evening. Top 3, I don't think we're the 3 drivers I imagine talking to. I think one of them maybe was Stovall, because of how aggressive he was up front. But Michael Miller, great recovery for himself. At one moment, Nate Crawford was outside of the top 10 and found his way to sneak forward. And a huge shakeup there as they were going through the tri-oval that opened up all these incredible finishes. As we take a look at our unofficial results, some drivers would hope for a better finish. Others taking what they can, and ultimately your first-time winner in the ISRC Truck Series in his rookie campaign is Joshua Stovall, taking the win, and as well, he's taking the extra cash of being the highest finisher in the Dega Dash competition. Michael Miller going to take away with 2nd, Nick Crawford 3rd, with Danny Cochran 4th. John Forbes going to take away 5th, being the night with Ollie Fonseca 6th. I want to give kudos to Ollie again. He was not feeling great with some back pains, but still comes away with the top 10 finish. Vincent Sora falls to 7th, Cedric Hunter like 8th, 9th goes to Jared Talmadge, and his teammate of Thomas Green finishing out the top 10. But I mean, Zach, from the start of this race to the end, there was no concrete. We knew where each driver was going to finish, but everyone else further on down would wish for a better day.
Yeah, definitely some playoff guys that were hoping for better days. I mean, I look no further than Justin Campbell in 16th, Larry Yingling 17th, Christopher Norris 18th, Mark Whitley 20th, Trenton Jump 22nd, 23rd of Cody Reed. I mean, so many playoff guys involved in stuff. It was definitely not the start I think a lot of them would have hoped for, but you know, it's not over. Like we were bringing up, you know, there's still 5 other races to gain points on people. And we know how many points you can gain in a race. There's a ton out there, so you can do everything in your power to gain those things throughout the next 5 to push your way up in positions.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of top contenders caught up with issues. We're still heading to some tracks that can give some major issues, but we have next week off, as we will be back in 2 weeks at North Wilkesboro, a track that has historically given us some crazy finishes. We'll touch more on that after we take a look at our upcoming of this week, as we've got ourselves the Challenger Racing League. They're heading to Martinsville, cutoff race to figure out who will be the 4 drivers to race for the championship in 2 weeks. You do not want to miss that race tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a chaotic one with the new drivers that have shown up, those that are racing for the championship. Tomorrow night, going to be a must-watch show. Speaking about must-watch, a must-watch start to the season. The WSSR Cup Series is back. They're heading in the nighttime for Atlanta Motor Speedway in the new configuration, the current configuration of the Speedway, and it is going to be a fun one to watch as well. And a new person up in the booth with me, it's going to be Richard Wolsifer making his Freaky Fast debut up in the booth with myself, Sam Dyer. I think it's going to be a fun call to make for the start of season 10. Then we will also be back for more racing action on Thursday night, as they just got off of their week break. They're back for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Don't want to miss those drivers with open setups Thursday night. But 2 weeks, I mean, Zach, North Wilkesboro, I think the classic Trenton Jump, Ethan Smith, intentional wreck, also some other dramatic moments of Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley dramatic races. I'm excited to be back in 2 weeks with a short track that's coming up.
Oh, me too. I love North Wilkesboro, one of my favorite tracks out there in the sim. And I tell you, the last time I did a truck race there myself, it was very low grip and it was very tough to put the power down. So if we get a long run, it's going to be fun to watch these drivers really work hard, slip and slide. And it's going to be a race that really shows who's able to manhandle these wild trucks.
It's going to be a crazy one, but for tonight, it was a pleasure to give you the call for the Blackjack's Dega Dash 150. Got to see a brand new winner of Joshua Stovall. And also to everyone that was in the chat, we say thank you for ourselves, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining with us on your Monday night. We got a full week upon us, 4 races, Monday through Thursday. You do not want to miss them. But for tonight, congratulations to Stovall, finally taking that first win of his ISRC Truck Series career. We got a feeling he's got a couple of more waiting for him in the future. Don't want to miss it. We will see you in 2 weeks, excuse me, as we have next week off. But in 2 weeks, we head to North Wilkesboro, the second race of the chase, as we cannot wait to see, will John Forbes continue on his march for 3 championships, or could someone else try to play spoiler? We'll have to find out again in 2 weeks, but if you want to see more racing before then, we'll see you tomorrow night. It's the cutoff race. Who's in? Who's racing for a championship? And who's out? It's all at Martinsville tomorrow night for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.